Did she watch the main event?
No, not really.
Well,
she was at the gym. She actually literally just walked in.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the 6th-round post-fight show with me, Zane Simon, and my co-hosts, as always, Eddie Mercado. Coming to y'all from the close of UFC Fight Night Dolidze versus Imavov at the Apex facility in Las Vegas, Nevada. A facility so small you could practically hear Chris Curtis shouting angrily at Natalia Imavov between rounds.
Which honestly was more exciting than a lot of this fight. I'm gonna just keep it a billion. There was some really slow moments in this, a lot of wall install, a lot of just jockeying for position and Zane Imavov. Yeah.
But yeah, it was, you know what? It had a few entertaining moments.
Sure.
I was not bored. It certainly got nice and crazy enough when Imavov landed that head kick on Dolidze, that illegal head kick, which there are some internet sleuths out there who are claiming that it should not have been illegal.
It wasn't load bearing, was it?
Yeah, because Dolidze was up on his fingertips. Now, this is where I hope they change the rule, because the rule is kind of bullshit. I will say, even in the freeze frames that I saw, the fingertips that Dolidze had on the ground, they were like firmly locked on the mat. I think he was putting weight on those fingertips on the mat. It wasn't like they were brushing, which is, I think, the intent of the load bearing. But that's just a better argument to get rid of the hand altogether.
Yeah, it's I don't care. Like, I'm glad he got kicked in the face. No disrespect to Dolidze. Like,
yeah,
rules are rules, but it's the dumbest rule ever.
Yeah,
I'm not going to respect the rule.
It's the classic John McCarthy. You know, John Jones comes out crouched and almost gets kicked in the head, and he's like, "Well, you're playing the game, so it is what it is." Like, Dolidze is out there putting a hand down to make sure he doesn't get kicked. It's not. The intent of the rule is so that if you're in a defenseless position because you're trying to get up, somebody doesn't run up and bicycle kick you right in the teeth. That was the idea. Is it like,
it's just silly? You should be able to do that.
Yeah. I'm all for it too. But it is, you know, it should be one of those things where refs can be at their discretion to be like, no, I'm sorry, if you're just trying to avoid a strike by having a hand down, I don't care how firmly it's down, it's a legal strike, you know.
Yeah, it's shenanigans. It's shenanigans.
Yeah.
But it was an exciting moment, and
it was.
I think Dolidze had the right spirit about the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
At no point was he looking for a way out.
Yeah,
I'm sure in his mind he was like, "Oh, dude kicked me in the face when I was in a vulnerable position. I played the game and it didn't work out. Oh well." He did get the point deducted.
He got a point deducted, and they went right back to having the same fight they were already having. You know, the fight did not look.
Well, Dolidze actually he responded.
He got fired up for a second.
A little hard.
Yeah,
you know, he did show some urgency after that, but you're right. It quickly devolved back into just that jockeying for position against the clinch, which both guys seem content to do.
Well, I think Dolidze he doesn't have the footwork or the anything. I've never seen a top fighter whose body moves so disjointedly and unfamiliarly at range as Dolidze's does. Like, it just doesn't. Nothing really leads to anything else. He doesn't have the movement standing to avoid getting the clinch. So for him, it's just like the fight's always going to be there if somebody wants it there. And for Imavov, he was just like, well, I don't have to deal with you weighing wild hooks at me if I'm in the clinch. And positionally, he could work Dolidze there every time he could get his back off the cage.
Yeah, those knees to the body were brilliant. They were effective. They were doing damage. They were part of that sequence that actually dropped Dolidze there in the first round. And argument could have been made that they could have stopped it right then and there.
Yeah.
I would have been happier.
Yeah. It was. This is a weird thing. So I will get this out of the way. I put it out on Twitter, but since we're doing the show as well, I guess we should explain the scorecards, right? Because
Yes.
they were
It
weird.
was a draw. So one guy had it a draw.
Yeah, it was 49-44, 47 for Imavov, 47-47, and 48-46. None of which are the card that I had, the right one, which was 48-45 Imavov, which would give Dolidze round 2, which was just the most brutally boring, ugly round that Dolidze held him on the fence and Imavov didn't get off the fence.
Right.
And gave Imavov every other round, including a 10-8 round 1 and a 9-9 round 4, where he lost a point and should have still won the round.
That is exactly how I scored the fight, Zane.
Yes, that is the right score. Instead, what we got is 49-44, which means that one judge, which is a fine, arguable score. It just means one judge gave Imavov every single round, including a 10-8 round 1 and a 9-9 round 4. They didn't give Dolidze the round 2, which he just held Imavov up against the cage. And okay, whatever. I don't care. It's a bad round.
Right.
Then you get the 47-47, which I have to assume, I haven't seen the scores myself, but I have to assume means that the judge gave Dolidze round 2, which is fine, and round 4, giving him a 10-8 round 4, and then gave Imavov the other 3 rounds, making it 47-47, and did not give Imavov a 10-8 round 1, which
and so that fourth round, right, where the point was deducted, that would have been a 10-8 if you scored it for Dolidze, was the one round where Dolidze had that blitz.
Yes,
went for the knee bar, and he probably did his best work in that round.
He still got outstruck 2-1 in that round.
Yeah, anytime they were in open space, he got outstruck, and anytime like they instantly got into the clinch, he got outstruck.
I think I would be honestly with that card, I'm more mad at the idea of not giving Imavov a 10-8 round 1 than I am with the potential scoring a 10-8 round 4 for Dolidze. Like, okay, I can see there's a vibe out there where you could, even as one of our viewers has just mentioned, the sub attempt maybe gets Dolidze round 4. Okay, like I can see there's a fourth round vibe for Dolidze. You do the 10-8 there, but you got to do the 10-8 round 1 for Imavov. He had Dolidze nearly out. Yeah, it's a classic 10-8 round.
Yeah, and unless it's like 2013.
Yeah, exactly. And then your last card, 48-46, it's just the card you and I both had, but once again, not giving a 10-8 round 1 to Nasruddin Imavov, which I don't understand that. I think you got to give that 10-8 round 1.
Yeah, especially considering Dolidze really didn't do much.
Yeah, like Imavov, not only did he have a knockdown, and I know significant strikes don't tell the whole story, but he outlanded Dolidze 51-8 for significant strikes.
Yeah.
69-8.
Yeah.
That's 9-1.
That is called a 10-8 round.
Yeah.
And Zane, and he had that fucking arm bar at the end of the round.
Right?
Like Dolidze ended that round almost getting his arm snapped on top of getting battered.
Yeah. It is his 10-8 to 10-8. So the fact that 2 judges did not give round 1 a 10-8, that to me is more egregious than giving Dolidze a 10-8 round 4.
Honestly, I'm not surprised, not just because it's MMA judging, but look at the scorecards earlier in the night. I thought there was some questionable scoring on the early on the prelims.
Yeah, we'll get into that. I didn't see anything I thought was egregious, but it was definitely, you know.
I don't know. That Maderos Quinones fight was.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely, I believe I scored that one for Quinones.
Yeah, everybody did, except for those judges. And maybe Maderos' corner.
Let me pull up MMA decisions here on that one. Quinones, Maderos.
Not to throw us way off track here.
Hey, no. It was actually, media scores were 50-50. I certainly scored it for Quinones, as did you. But it was 50-50. I definitely, stats-wise, thought that Quinones deserved to snag a couple of rounds of that fight. But I just, Anyway. Neither here nor there at the moment. Let's go ahead and what do you think of Imavov calling out Sean Strickland after the fight?
Smart because as high as it's been, and I think it's the worst possible rematch I could ever see Sean Strickland in. Of everybody Sean Strickland could fight again, that's like the last one I want to see him fight. You got to put him in there with Chris Curtis. Like, come on, you got to redo that, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, as we got somebody agreeing with you. I part of me felt like I walked away from that Chris Curtis fight being like, I can see where that fight was going, and I don't really need to see Chris Curtis in that again. But the amount of bad blood they still clearly have over it, it does kind of feel like, yeah, you got to do that again.
Like, what else is like there is not a situation more interesting for Imavov to be in.
Yeah. The Strickland fight just went against him instantly and doesn't feel like it would go a lot different on a replay.
I was going to say he just needs to get away from Extreme Couture, but he called out Sean Strickland again, so I guess he wants to keep fighting that camp.
Yeah. Otherwise, I guess there's something like the winner of Hermanson Pfeiffer or let's see. Who else is out there? Everybody's kind of booked right now.
You got Whitaker and Paulo Costa about to fight.
Yeah, that's true. That's out there too, and we got the Paul Craig, Caio Bahayo. Especially if Bahayo won that fight, you could do. Well, no, wait, no, didn't Imavov? No, he didn't. Okay, yeah. For some reason, I was almost thinking he already fought Bahayo, but that
you're thinking of what's his face?
Mahmoud Muradov, probably. Yeah. And otherwise, I mean, because Dolidze was ranked 8th. He's ranked higher than Khamzat Chimaev. I guess you could do Imavov Chimaev.
Ooh. Sure, I get it. I mean, Chris Curtis. You got to do Chris Curtis. Like, nothing else seems as fun. Like, everything else seems like a waste.
Yeah, I can see it. For Dolidze,
run it back.
Just give, as somebody else said, just make Roman Dolidze fight like every single middleweight should have to fight Roman Dolidze at least once. Honestly,
you said Paul Craig is fighting who?
He is fighting Caio Bahayo.
How is that booked? What?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a weird booking.
It is.
When Paul Craig loses that, he should fight Dolidze. That's what I want to see.
Or there's Anthony Hernandez, Roman Kopylov out there. I would watch the winner of that fight, Dolidze, too.
Or the loser.
Just somebody out of that fight.
Yeah. Chaos.
Doesn't matter. Everybody fight Dolidze at least once. All right. Before that, Hanato Moicano, Drew Dober.
Hold on. Let's start again. The people's main event.
The people's main event. Yes. Hinata Moicano, Drew Dober. And yeah, this fight was great. Really, really thought Drew Dober might just pull this one out. And at the same time, I also thought that Moicano might have won every single round.
Absolutely. They could have gone either way. This was perfect. So I figured either guy was going to find a finish in the first round, whether it be Moicano catching a sub or Dober getting his knockout. But that didn't happen. But this kind of felt just as great, just watching them battle back and forth and each guy having their moments. And it was it turned out to be a fucking war.
Yeah, they kind of played out the dynamic of the fight in every single round. Yeah. Where it's just like Dober gets a minute to be on his feet and is absolutely crushing Moicano. And then Moicano gets that body lock trip takedown and is absolutely working Dober on the ground. And somehow, either he was able to like finish some rounds there, or they at that point where Dober was able to like scramble out and get back and start landing big shots on Moicano again. And it was just, we got to see a really fun style clash, and it was fun all the way through.
It was great. This should have been the main event. Hindsight, it should have been at least 5 rounds.
Yeah, Moicano and Dober are both ranked. Imavov and Dolidze are both ranked. If you're looking at these two fights and be like, what's automatically going to be a cooler fight? Moicano Dober was clearly 100%. The cooler fight.
I loved it. And I picked Moicano here. It's a coin toss, so it was like who's gonna be first to get what they wanted. And ultimately I decided that somehow, some way that fight's gonna hit the ground and Moicano was gonna win. And
it was one of those fights where either guy could have bulldozed the other out in a second. Like Dober could either charge out and just absolutely crush Moicano the way that Fiziev or Korean Zombie did. Or Moicano could go out there and body lock Dober and wrestle him to the ground and choke him out the way that, other people have done to Drew Dober over the years.
Ultimately, I felt like Moicano's the smarter fighter, right?
Well, he's the guy who changes more. He can adapt to more. Dober is going to come at you with one thing that Drew Dober does. He's going to punch you really hard in the head. And if you can change that dynamic up at all, you can get him into a fight that he doesn't necessarily win.
Right. And Moicano makes those adjustments. Case in point, that lateral drop that Dober was gorgeous the first time. The second time, Moicano made the perfect adjustment, hit that little knee on belly, like, nah. Took top position, and that's what won him that third round and the fight. Yes. So it was that fight cue. It was just, that was beautiful. It was like, you fool me once kind of thing. I thought it was a great, awesome fight. His post-fight, his dad is like 60-something, still getting women pregnant out here. Look at him go. He's about to be a brother.
Yeah, no kidding. He's got to, you know what? Stick to the kids. Stick to keeping up with your dad. Please don't go. Look, move to America if you want, Moicano, but we don't need more MMA cops, okay? Leave that to Johnny Hendricks. Leave that to, who was the
Jimmy Rivera?
Jimmy Rivera, yeah.
There's plenty of them.
There's plenty of them. We don't need more of that. But as for the idea of Hinata Moicano versus Dan Hooker,
oof.
Yeah,
that is ooh.
I would love to see that fight.
That's intoxicating.
That would be a great fight. It feels perfect. Both dudes are absolutely just down to go to war.
It needs to be a 5-rounder too.
Yes. Yeah.
Gotta be. And it's really hard for me to see the UFC putting those two guys in a main event. But
I mean, they need to. We've seen more fighters get 5-round fights into their contracts out there, like Dustin Poirier versus Benoit Saint-Denis. I think that's a 5-round fight.
Is it?
I think. Let me see. UFC 299. Oh, Tapology. I need Tapology.
Well, that's not the main event, right?
No, it's the co-main.
There's a title on the line there. Is that the Sean O'Malley card?
It is 5. Yeah, it's the Sean O'Malley Marlon Vera card. It's the co-main to that Poirier Benoit Saint Denis, and it's a 5-round fight. No belt, no nothing. It's just a badass fight that needs to be 5 rounds.
Moicano Hooker.
Hooker, that's got to be 5 rounds. We just saw this last week too, where what was with Evloev Allen, that should have been a 5-round fight.
100%.
You know?
Yeah.
So
you gotta stop. Like, let's actually take away some of these heavyweight main events as 5 rounders. Some of these middleweight light heavy. Let's make them 3.
Yeah.
And let's get these
this fight
athletes, these 5 rounders.
Imavov versus Dolidze. This did not need to be 5 rounds. Like, they had to take the second round of this fight off because the first round was so trying. Like, we did not need 4 more rounds or 3 more rounds after a dead second round.
And I knew that was going to happen. I knew they were both going to peter out and just get ass tired in the championship rounds. I smelled it coming a mile away. Couldn't avoid it.
And it just got sloppier. It got sloppy to the point that we got, a brutal foul.
And it was coming off of Moicano Dober.
Yeah.
So it was like extra salty.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they should have been swapped.
They should have. All right. Sucks for Drew Dober to take a loss, but hey, at least, it wasn't a knockout loss like that Matt Frivola one. And then I'm just down to see this dude scrap with anybody. So, flip it around. Who's the next up and coming lightweight that is just always throws down and is fun for an action fight, but maybe
Jalen Turner.
There is Jalen Turner. Is Jalen Turner
actually booked?
No, he is ranked. He's ranked higher than Dan Hooker, though, so that would be a little bit of a slap in the face. Otherwise,
yeah, but Dober deserves it, right?
Sure. I mean, I would say we do Drew Dober, Patty Pimblett, right?
Well, anybody would want that, but that ain't happening.
Yeah.
Well, that ain't happening.
Yeah.
Zane.
Fine.
You get that hardcore talk out of here.
Okay. But I'm just saying, find some other dude anywhere on the card that's got like a good record that's coming up that loves to scrap and get him in there with Drew Dober. All right. Before that, welterweight bout, Randy Brown, Muslim Salikov, and going into this, initially, when this fight was first booked, I was like, oh, maybe Salikov can win this. I don't know.
I know. The closer it got to the fight, the more I was like, is Randy Brown about to get knocked out?
Because it's just like, these guys are going to get the exact range and style they want. They both like to be out in middle distance, trying at creative stuff, trying to, set up perfect strikes, all that.
Yeah.
And, oh, yeah, that's actually a good shout here. Drew Dober versus Ismail Bonfim. I would definitely watch that fight.
Yeah. Dynamite.
But, so I was like, maybe Muslim Salikov, he can lull Brown into that fight and find just the right strike. And then I was like, no. Brown he's too tall. His output is like double Salikov's. He's just going to win. I'm picking him. And then like we're a minute into the fight and I'm like, 2 minutes into the fight. And I'm like, oh, maybe I screwed up. Because Salikov's looking sharp. Brown is totally getting drawn into this slow-paced one shot at a time fight.
Eating those calf kicks.
Yep. And then he just dropped a hammer on Salikov.
Man, that was so smooth and so clean. Just a jab, cross. Oof. And the way he stepped out with it.
Mm-hmm.
Just silky smooth. I don't think you can throw or land a cleaner punch.
Brown
is so clean, it almost looked like a phantom punch.
Brown is one of those dudes that he lands shots where I'm just like, and he has the size and he lands shots with the fluidity where I'm just like, you should just do this every single time. Like, you should be every single fight. You should just be able to go out there and win with like a jab cross, because you can hit it from 10 feet away at a speed that most people just aren't ready for. So,
but he has to flow into it.
Yeah,
he has to comfortably flow into it.
Yeah,
that's the thing, and that takes time to get that rhythm down, because everyone's different, right? Everyone you fight.
Well, and he really is a fighter who loves to try and set up the perfect thing. He's not just out there being like, well, what if I just pump my jab out there a bunch and, get my kicks going, throw a bunch of teeps, make it annoying for somebody to have to bridge that distance. He's usually like, oh, I landed the jab and the cross. Well, what if I just flow and try and set up some other cool up elbow or like a, spinning back kick or something. And then suddenly he's getting crushed by Jack Della Maddalena. It's like, what if I just walk into you with hooks? Yeah. What are you going to do then? But real pretty win for Randy Brown. Called for a step up in the middleweight division.
Michael Chiesa is what he called for.
Did he call for Michael Chiesa? Sure. Rinat Fakhretdinov is coming off a draw too.
Stay away from him. That's such a tough fight, man.
Neil Magny just picked up that Mike Malott. I'll remind everybody who Neil Magny is out there. Like, he is still the litmus test of, are you actually as good as you think you are? Randy Brown says he's a top 10 fighter. Neil Magny will tell you if you're a top 10 fighter or not.
I like that matchup.
Yeah.
That might be the move.
Yeah. So real impressive.
Making themselves, man. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
Good thing the UFC matchmakers listen to this show as close as possible.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I get texts from Mick Maynard all the time. Mostly like,
I'm surprised you haven't blocked him.
Yeah. Mostly he's just like, I love your work. I love everything you do. Bloody Elbow is great. I've never had a complaint about Bloody Elbow ever.
Autograph me a photo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry, Mick. A little too big time over here.
I know. We can see the printer back there, man. That thing's sweet. Is that a Canon?
It's a Brother. That's if you want to buy a printer. Free ad for send me a check, Brother printers. If you want to buy a printer, get yourself one of these Brother MFC printers. It's got a scanner built into it too. Yeah. And it's a toner printer, so it's only black and white.
Okay.
But it will.
I don't see colors.
A toner cartridge. Yeah, no, I know you're a man of the people, Eddie. But these toner cartridges too will like last you a couple of years.
Is it also a facsimile machine?
It probably, maybe, I don't know who faxes anything anymore.
I don't know.
But yes. Anyway, that's a free ad. Brother, the 6th round post-fight show now sponsored by Brother Printers.
That's right.
Send me a check. For that, got the brutal we had Natalia Silva, women's flyweight by Natalia Silva, Vivi Araujo, and Araujo had all the right ideas, or the one right idea, which was just to try and wrestle Natalia Silva and get her down and get her back and stay on her. But Silva's just too goddamn fast.
She had that Roman Dolidze game plan. Yeah.
It's not pretty, but I mean, Natalia Silva is so fast that I can't really knock anybody in that division for being like, I can't figure this person out just by standing in front of them.
I'm not trying to hear that shit, Zane. You cut the cage off. You kick the legs and immobilize them. I'm trying to hear
Vivi Araujo doesn't have any of that footwork. She doesn't.
Yeah, I'm not trying to hear that, man. Like,
she does.
But to be fair, though, Silva does have that Lyoto Machida kind of matador skill set to strike off the back foot and then quickly change directions and multiply forces and really catch you by surprise.
she's just really goddamn fast.
Yeah.
Just, she is a top 1% athlete in that division. I don't know if she has the full skill set to be like champ or anything like that, but she will probably fight for a belt at some point in the not too distant future, just being that ridiculously blazingly fast.
Yeah. Araujo, she did well with controlling for as long as she did.
Yeah.
But it was so controlling to the point of referee interventions. The referee actually had to step in and separate them on a few occasions, just because nothing was going on.
Yeah, it wasn't a pretty tactic. I can just see why. I can see how not having the footwork, because somebody else mentioned it in our chat too. Like, oh yeah, Araujo's just kind of a dead duck here because she can't cut the cage off. And it's just like, yeah, no, her game is all about trying to plant and throw or plant and shoot. And she just kind of has to sit down and hope that nothing's coming at her because she's going to be right there on a straight line.
Yeah. I mean, that's tough. That's a tough style to deal with for sure.
Yeah.
And I didn't see her flagging at all. It didn't seem like she was slowing down or getting tired. So I don't see why she couldn't do that for 5 rounds.
Yeah. Yeah, really, really, solid performance, solid showing from Natalia Silva.
And happy birthday to Nat Silva, by the way.
She is now probably still young enough to make me feel incredibly old. She's 27. Okay. Yeah. That's getting old enough that you're like almost starting to have to deal with adult problems by the end of your 20s.
Sure, Zane.
Like you're nearly getting to the point that maybe you don't have roommates. Maybe you're maybe getting off your parents' insurance and paying your own taxes.
Yeah.
Own
insurance off the general.
Yeah.
Switching to Geico or something.
Yeah. Let's see who's out there next for her. Silva. Let's see, rankings, women's flyweight. She's now 9th, although Araujo was 7th, so she's now a top 10, cleanly top 10. Somebody mentioned Macy Barber. Macy Barber's currently set to
fight. She's booked.
She's set to fight Caitlin Chukagian.
So maybe the winner of that.
Yeah, because you've got Blanchfield Fierro, which is going to be your next title contender for Grasso coming out of that. So Chukagian, Barber, she could fight the winner of that, or Tracy Cortez just came off a real good win. If she's willing to, take a small step back, Cortez is just ranked 10th right now. And then you got Amanda Nunes Amanda Hebush versus Rose Namajunas. So the winner of that out there too.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, a few good options out there for Araujo rather. I think if it's going to be just a fight right now, I would say the Tracy Cortez fight, but otherwise, Rebus Namajunas winner or Chukagian Barber winner are both rock solid. All right. Now we get to Alyashkov Kizriev versus Mahmoud Muradov.
Fight of the night.
Yeah. Just brutal. Just a brutal 11-second eye poke. We got nothing out of it. You might as well let Muradov heal up and then rebook it, honestly, just because.
Yeah, you have to. I was really excited for this one because I know what Muradov is capable of, and he's got some nasty hands if he would just apply himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking maybe we could get him applying himself here, or we'll see a prospect do his thing. Either way, it was going to be great.
Yeah, I was talking about it on the Vivian. Muradov is a guy that I think, there is a version of him that should contend for a UFC title, and I don't know that he will ever get close at all. But it's all just application and aggression within himself. He's clearly a great athlete, He has had a lot of great training. He's got the skills and the speed that he needs to be a great talent, but you'll see him go out and dominate somebody for a round, and then he just wants them to like be cowed and go away. And so you get like Gerald Meerschaert, stepping on the gas and being like, I'm just going to out punch you. And it's like, that should never be happening to you. You are letting that fight get brought to yourself through your unwillingness to continue taking a fight to Gerald Meerschaert.
Yeah, he has the skills.
He's got the skills. He is.
Maybe it's a confidence thing.
Yeah.
And that's one of the worst divisions to lack confidence. You really gotta roll on the accelerator in those heavier divisions.
Yeah.
You got to.
A lot of those dudes are, strong enough and big enough road dog kind of guys that they're there to be like, oh, you didn't finish me. I trust that I can just come back and make something happen.
Yeah, and not be gun shy about it.
Yeah. So it sucks. So yeah, I definitely think you got to rebook this fight, make it happen again. Pretty clear. All right. That brings us, speaking of confidence issues, Chuck Buffalo, Charles Radkey, Gilbert Urbina, and this is, I think, almost everybody was picking Urbina in this fight.
Yeah.
And he got out there and ate about one hook and was just like, no, I don't want it. And he's a tall dude, but he only fights tall. He does not know how to fight long. And this was the clear example of him realizing he had to fight long, that he had to keep Radkey away from him if he was going to win. He didn't know how to do it. So he just let Radkey walk into him and land hooks over and over and over again. And he got slept. Like, they called this a TKO. He got knocked out.
Yeah, that was gorgeous.
It was.
That was some gorgeous hooking going on by Radkey.
Yeah. And he didn't get all homophobic this time. So big win for Radkey.
Oh, well, he's not in Australia. I think.
Yeah, apparently.
Down under. I think he only gets.
Apparently, Australia. Well, you know what it is. It's just the whole, it's the whole hemisphere thing.
The what?
The whole hemisphere thing. It's just, it's like the water running backwards and all that.
Exactly.
It just confuses him.
Well, I was going to say the taxes, but yeah, that too.
That too. Yeah.
There's Australian taxes, man.
Yeah, but big win for Radkey here. I'll admit, I did not think that this was a dude that would be winning any fights in the UFC when he got signed. Just kind of a messy brawler regionally, but he's got some power and he's got a clean left hook, and he's clearly put a scare into Gilbert Urbina out there. Yeah,
he gives me a Mike Perry feel.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if this guy goes off the bare knuckle and do some things.
Yeah, or, stab somebody in a bar somewhere.
Sure. Possible prison. I don't know.
Yeah, 50-50. All right. That brings us to a women's strawweight bout.
Shocker of the night.
Molly McCann, Diana Belbita. And why the hell did they book this fight twice? Belbita got 30-26 the last time they fought. It was a point deduction for holding the fence, but it was she got 30-25 actually the last time they met. So she got absolutely run out the building, and the UFC was like, man, we got to run that one back.
What's crazy is she was a bigger favorite the first time they fought.
McCann?
Yeah, like somehow or
Yeah.
another they were like, oh, she's less likely to whoop that ass this time. Maybe it was a McCann thing. It's kind of a
Yeah.
matchup for her.
Well, and it like she's got a fan base that is really, really delusional. Just crazy in the belief that both Molly McCann and Patty Pimblett could be title contenders someday. So they really took like a great deal of shock out of McCann getting armbarred by Julia Stoliarenko. I saw a bunch of people when I was running our Twitter account come back and be like, it's so impressive that Molly McCann went out there and after losing via armbar, like she went out there and she learned how to grapple and she came back and she armbarred down. It's like Diana Belbita is just bad. This is no like this is a purely levels question. This is not like Molly.
Insane. Are you implying that 7 months is not enough time to learn jiu-jitsu? What?
Well, I mean, maybe when you're a pinnacle athlete like Molly McCann.
My Rev Gear shirt disagrees with you. All you got to do is buy the shirt, Zane, and obviously
the jiu-jitsu just comes right back.
We're going to be hitting buzzer-beating arm bars in the UFC, and that's cool as a motherfucker.
Yeah, that was
her hitting that arm bar. Ooh.
That was cool, and she snapped it too. It was one of those like it was not the GSP. I'm bending your arm, and I would like you to tap because I don't want to hurt anybody.
That
nice guy.
Near, I'm taking this shit home, kind of.
Yeah, that was very much the arm is breaking. You should tap before that happens because I'm not.
Didn't even have to do it too. That was dang, like she wanted it.
Yep.
I love seeing that. And that's the thing is like you see a knockout artist who learns submissions and then they attack submissions the same way they go for knockouts. I fucking love that. This was awesome. This was a great McCann looked as great as she's ever looked, ever. And like you were saying, it's the level of opposition. But
somebody is trying to now get hyped as Molly McCann, a different animal at 150. I'm sorry, she beat Diana Belbita. This is like the lowest end of strawweight.
Did look, hold on. Physically, she looked great.
Sure.
She looked serious. The things she was saying in her post-fight interview sounded focused.
Sure. But is she actually a pinnacle athlete suddenly in that division?
Athlete, absolutely.
No,
athletically, she's got the horsepower to fuck with.
She's got strength, but like speed or like footwork and agility. It's just strength. It's like you're looking at Priscilla Cachoeira and being like, "Man, she's got the horsepower. Is she a contender at flyweight now?" No. Yeah,
I see what you mean.
Yeah, horsepower is one thing, but like, I am not. We need like 3 or 4 people or 3 or 4 wins that are of increasing difficulty before Molly McCann beating the absolute worst bantamweight on the roster gets me like starting, firing up the hype train engine here, shoveling the coal. Come on.
I feel you. It's fun though.
It is fun. She's a fun personality. She's got a hyped fan base that loves to get behind her. I don't hate her.
You know who the perfect fight is now? You want the rubber to meet the road? The perfect fight? Jillian Robertson.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
You armbar motherfuckers? You go fight Jillian Robertson and see how good that armbar game got.
Yeah. Or somebody else you suggest, Verna Jandiroba. Sure, like let's go.
That's a big step up, though. She's ranked number 5.
Well, but we're talking Molly McCann, future title contender.
I'm saying start at number 15, and if you can pass that,
she's 33. We got to get we got to get this title town. We got to get her to title town in a hurry here. No, but yes,
great. She looked great.
Jillian Robertson would be a good matchup.
Yeah.
If that's not a fight she's already lost. It is a fight she's already lost. Okay. She lost that fight in 2018.
To what? Robertson? They fought? Fucking no way.
Yeah, she already got subbed by Jillian Robertson.
Yeah, that was at flyweight.
Yeah. So they can run it back.
It's
Sure.
perfect. It's actually perfect.
We can find out if Molly McCann is really a different beast against another flyweight who is now down at strawweight, trying to prove that she's something different, even though she can't punch.
I'm actually excited for this rematch now.
All right.
Might not even happen.
All right. That brings us to a flyweight bout. Charles Johnson, Azat Maksum. And you know what? I'm really happy for Charles Johnson here.
I'm happy for whoever picked him up in those live odds in that second round.
Yeah.
Shout out to you.
I almost thought, like, I didn't see the stats, and I looking at the stats now, I'm like, what was I watching? I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I was blinded. Maybe I was doing 3 other things. I almost thought Maxim might have taken that second round from the judges, and saw several other people score it for him as well. But all things considered, and considering where the fight ended up, I am very happy to see Charles Johnson get this win, because he has been a clear quality, he can hang with anybody level flyweight who just has a lot of trouble getting to wins. He starts so slow and is such a reactive fighter who has to key off of what his opponent is doing. It's really hard for him to get the momentum to win fights at this level.
Well, yeah, like what is his? I don't even know if you ask me right now, like what's his style, I wouldn't know what to say. Like it depends on what stage of the fight you're talking about.
Yeah,
is he this clinch grappler? Is he this Muay Thai kickboxer? I don't fucking know.
He's definitely got this sort of walk forward Muay Thai style where he wants to be tall and walking in with kicks and punches, clinching up and doing stuff. But early on, like he waits and he lets people come to him and push him backwards. And so he can get caught off guard with takedowns early in fights. He can get out punched and beat to the punch early in fights. And as he finds his rhythm, he gets cleaner and tighter with it all. But it takes time. And I figured Maxim would have the technique to just kind of find the gas and stay on it. But Johnson got really slick as this fight went on. Like Maxim kept throwing, but he just started missing everything. Johnson was just slipping and countering all the offense out there. I mean, let me go back and look at the stats here.
Yeah, he started stuffing the takedowns.
He started stuffing the takedown. Well, yeah, Maxim's not really a takedown artist, so that was good to see Johnson not get caught up in that game. But the big thing was that, like, after round one, Maxim landed 9 of 51 strikes in round 2. Like, he landed 17% of his strikes. In round 3, 14 of 62.
And people still gave him that second round?
Yeah, like I said, I don't know. Even I thought like maybe he might have squeaked it out somehow, but I might have been blind. I'm not gonna say like I'm not gonna say that I was making a good read there. I might have I was shocked that it was such a one-sided striking round when I saw the stats. But a lot of that might have been just because Maxim was missing so much stuff in tight, scrappy exchanges that I thought was landing. But Johnson just, like, he got Maxim missing everything as this fight went on.
He doesn't fight like a flyweight.
Johnson?
Yeah, he just...
No. He's part of the whole run that the UFC has had where they're picking up skinny bantamweights who just don't have the power to be bantamweights. And so they're like 5'8", 5'7", 5'9", and they fight they don't fight like flyweights. This was
a big betting upset. I think this was one of Minty Betts, one of her picks, if you know who that is. She's like the industry plant she's the new Yanni the Greek.
She's the Yanni the Greek that actually wins bets. And
not this year.
Is she on a bad roll this year?
I think so.
All right. Because Yanni, I mean, he missed literally every single bet on a season of the Contender Series. whole
I mean,
season.
it's tough to pick fights. Like it's
It
you
is.
know, this is better
It
than
is.
that. It's
It is.
really extremely hard to pick fights. Even tougher to gamble on them or tell people.
Yeah, well, especially because a lot of it is then, gamblers get into the picking the over and the under, picking the
Right.
finish,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was I'm glad to see Johnson get this win, honestly, because he's hung around and he's been competitive with some really talented fighters in the UFC, and it keeps feeling like he should, like he outstruck Rafael Estevam 72-18 in his last fight, but he got taken down and controlled in every single round, and except the last one, so he didn't win that decision. He had good moments against Cody Durden and Ode Osborne, but he just keeps falling behind to these guys. So he and Mahmoud Muradov both landed 12 strikes over 3 rounds, but he also got taken down 12 times.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. That brings us to my shock of the night, probably everybody's shock of the night. Themba Gorimbo.
Really?
You thought Themba Gorimbo was going to knock somebody out?
I thought he was going to win.
Picking him to win is fine, but Themba Gorimbo by first round knockout, I don't think that was on anybody's card.
No, but I do expect big things from him.
Do you?
Yeah, dude, he's ridiculous, man. This dude's nasty. He's not fucking around.
I don't know. I mean, he's a wrestler grappler whose wrestling and grappling is not good. But he is certainly so full of self-belief that you could, if anybody is going to be powered by pure will to big things, apparently it's Themba Gorimbo.
Yeah, he's got backing. He's got a machine behind him.
Yeah, that's true.
He has a machine behind him.
He's part of the Rock universe now.
I'm being dead ass serious. He has a plan. He has an agenda, and if he goes out there and he's fighting like that, like I don't know if he's on with the Rock's on or what. USADA's going. I don't know what the fuck. If the guy that showed up tonight is the guy that shows up next time, like holy shit. Like he willfully just went out there and brawled with a brick shithouse.
Yeah.
Like he went out there and beat someone at their own game, whose game is just come out and just blow through people.
Yeah. Well, Pete Rodriguez is super, super raw himself. I'm not going to
Sure.
Takashi Sato and Pete Rodriguez are not the kind of wins to make me think that Gorimbo is going to skyrocket up the division, but it's already more than I thought he would do. So I
feel like we just had the same conversation with what's his face?
Oh, with Marcus McGee?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Marcus McGee has skills that he does. Themba Gorimbo is just powered by crazy will. I mean,
well, he's got the middleweight, light heavyweight swag at 170.
This dude lost to AJ Fletcher, giving up a 10-inch reach advantage. 10 inches.
Hey, UFC debuts are rough, my man.
They are. I'm just saying, Themba Gorimbo he's fun. I hope he does well, but I'm going to be surprised for every win he gets until he really starts making up.
And then you'll jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah. I'm that guy.
Did you not see the letter he was reading before he went in there?
Yeah, no.
Clearly, he got the script, Zane.
That's true. He got the script. Pete Rodriguez did not get the script.
I'm telling you, there's a machine behind him. I'm not saying, but I'm saying.
All right. That brings us to a featherweight bout. Lee Jung Young against Blake Bilder. And this was kind of a shockingly bad loss for Blake Bilder, honestly.
He got dominated.
he got dominated. And you know what? Lee Jong-young showed up and looked dangerous. So all credit to him.
Mm.
But
that knee on that clinch break.
Yeah. Shook Builder up bad.
Jose Aldo is somewhere smiling after that. That was gorgeous.
But I kind of thought this was like this was a fight Builder should have had the skills to take. And he just didn't look like he had. He didn't. He spent like 2 minutes just pressing Lee straight into the cage, not moving, not changing the angle on the shot, not doing anything to improve the takedown that he was working on.
That might be the underlying theme of the night is lame ass wall install tactics that didn't pan out.
And it just feels like, I kind of felt like Blake Builder was a dude who had the skills to be good, but was coasting on athletic talent because he thought he could. This looked like a fight where you just the depth isn't there. The skills aren't there. You're faced with another good athlete, and you're just mashing into him, trying and hoping that pushing this guy is going to be enough to get it done. And he just got run out the building.
Lee looked like he was having so much fun out there doing it.
Yeah.
Too. He was smiling the whole time, kind of just doing whatever he wanted.
Yeah. So really bad loss.
The biggest surprise is that Builder didn't get finished.
Sure. He's tough, and he's got, he's tough and he's strong and all that. But yeah, this was just, Lee looked great. Builder looked totally flat, and
Builder was not in the building.
No. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, a lot of good fun fights for Lee in that division right now. Go turn around and fight somebody like David Onama or Melsik Bagdasaryan or,
Nate Landwehr. Nate Landwehr.
Yeah, Nate Landwehr. Jose Mariscal just got a super fun win, there's a lot of fun stuff in that division for him. For Builder, maybe the UFC gives him another shot, but he's 33, and this was sort of you need to win this to be somebody. And at this point, he's just kind of clinging on if he's still in there. All right. For that, Luana Carolina, Julia Stoliarenko, and Stoliarenko only has 2 kinds of fights. This was the second one. It's either I armbar you in 2 minutes or I get my ass beat. And she did not armbar Luana Carolina inside the first round, despite very nearly saved by the bell for Luana Carolina. But that was it.
Well, no. Also, let's not forget late in the third round when Luana Carolina was like, you know what? You're not tired enough for me to finish you. So let me just throw myself and do a couple submission attempts.
Yeah.
The legs out a little bit. We'll go from the triangle to the armbar, back to the triangle. And then I'm just going to stand up because jiu-jitsu doesn't work. And then I'm going to beat the shit out of you.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
Yeah.
It was a fucking awesome sequence.
It was a goofy, fun fight just because Stoliarenko is such everything is either working for me perfectly or everything is going so wrong that I don't even look like I fight for a living.
Right.
Those are the only 2 settings she has. Is you see her hit some slick trip takedown right into an armbar where you're like, damn, that was super fluid, just over and done. Or you see her get punched and stumble, lean halfway across the octagon, and then try to throw a hook that lands her square on her face because she's so off balance that you're like, do you train in your free time?
Nah, man, she would have run shop in UFC 4, right?
Sure, yeah.
90s UFC.
Yeah.
But she just doesn't look like she trains MMA. She looks like a pure submission grappler who just so happens to be in an MMA fight.
Yeah.
Which I know is not the case, but it's just what it looks like.
Hey, Ben Askren vibes out there without the wrestling.
Yeah, Ben Askren vibes. But man, Carolina, I cannot believe she put herself in those submissions. It was on her own volition. She's the one that got the takedown. She's the one that put herself there. That was wild.
She is one of those fighters that is, for how she's lucky she is as tough as she is for how sloppy she fights, because like she puts herself in some real risks that you're like, everybody must be beating her, and then you go and you look at her record and it's like, no, she actually wins most of the time.
Everyone on paper, it looks like she should be losing these fights, but she shows up and she just gets it done. Very light heavyweight-ish, the way she goes about it. But like I was saying, I mean, all jokes aside, I don't believe she would have gotten the finish here had she not gone into those submissions and made Stoliarenko, give her last go at those submission attempts.
No. Stoliarenko was definitely just cooked by the time Luana Carolina got the TKO.
Yeah.
All right. That brings us to a lightweight bout. Markel Maderos, Landon Quinones, and this is your robbery of the night.
Quinones got robbed of a win bonus.
Statistically here, Quinones only outlanded Maderos in round one. Statistically.
Right, but then we have to go back to optics.
Quality of strike.
And when Quinones was landing, Maderos would stumble back, and it looked like when Quinones got hit, he ate it rather well, or so it seemed.
Yeah,
so for me, I gotta award the heavier looking punches more so than the
busyness. I feel like the judges really gave Maderos a lot of credit just for this. Was a very classic Diego Sanchez, or who was the other cursed with power, Leonard Garcia kind of win, where he's just getting a lot of credit for being the guy going forward and being busy.
Sure.
But every time Quinones hit Maderos, it just snapped his head back clean. Because Maderos is doing this, he's got this very kind of Tony Ferguson thing he's working on, where he loves to enter the pocket as he switches stances and try and shift punch through combinations.
Sure. Which is a great technique, by the way.
If you're don't have your head stuck straight on line all the time. Otherwise, you're constantly leaving stance and squaring yourself as you enter the pocket, as one leg moves past the other. And every time you do that, Quinones is just busting right in the face, and it's just like, I got to stumble backwards because I was out of footing. I was out of stance.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to reward that, honestly.
Yeah.
It's really hard for me to reward that. And that's the thing. It's like, I really like what Maderos does out there. And I like his entries into techniques and out of techniques. Well, not out of them. He does leave his chin there. But in his entrances and his vision and what he's seeing and the things, his reactions, I like. I just wish he could tie some damage into it.
Yeah. I mean, he's working the early stages of the Tony Ferguson game. And when Tony Ferguson had his style clicking,
sure,
it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
But he took a lot of damage doing it too. And Maderos he's working the kinks out of it. He's trying this very shift heavy pocket game where he's really trying to throw little combos and shift into harder shots and stuff like that. But while you're doing that, you are spending so much time right in front of people. Yeah. And it's a high risk game.
It was just a nuts and bolts kind of performance from him. He was just throwing standard, regular jab cross hook combinations, nothing crazy, and it was effective. And it just seemed to be the better work throughout.
Yep.
So I think this is a bad decision. I'm going to just say it's a bad decision.
Fair enough. I scored it for Quinones as well.
I gave all three to Quinones, but obviously there was, second round really close.
Yeah. I'm not surprised Maderos got it, but I do think that Quinones probably should have deserved it. All right. And that brings us to our first fight of the night, Jamal Poges, Thomas Peterson. And reasonable showing for Poges. Like, he got taken down once, and then he started stuffing the single legs, and Peterson didn't really have anything else to go to other than the single leg, so he lost.
Yeah. Tough fight. Gritty fight. This exhausted me watching those big guys out there just swinging and having this kind of the grueling clinches and the takedown attempts and watching them breathe heavy. But credit to Poges for gutting it out and gutting out that eye poke.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty gross. It left him with the red spot on the eye. That's always concerning. But just a true heavyweight fight here. Classic slop.
Yep, classic slop, classic slog. All right.
But wait. You know what's next for Poges, right?
Oh.
You know he used to fight down at middleweight, right?
Yeah.
You know who he needs to fight, right?
Who?
Jake Collier.
Oh.
He's taking everything he worked for.
That's true. I don't think Jake Collier's in the UFC anymore.
Well, they need to bring his ass back for this one fight.
Yeah.
The former lighter guys.
Yeah, he got cut.
Damn.
After 4 straight losses.
Well, maybe they'll bring him back.
R.I.P. Jake Cudlier.
Jake the Cake.
Yeah.
Hey, pull some strings and get him back for one fight.
All right. Yeah, I'll get on. I'll get on here with Mick here and be like, man, you gotta bring my boy back
for my birthday in October.
That's right. All right. On that note, we're gonna wrap things up. We'll have some bonus content coming at y'all for our Substack subscribers. So head over to our Substack later tonight, early tomorrow, and jump on that. Otherwise, it's been Zane Simon and Eddie Mercado coming at y'all for UFC Vegas 85, Imavov versus Dolidze. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we will see you next time.